tell me a bit about green spirituality, Ian. What is it?
We're all part of the living earth. We're all embedded and part of this Gaian evolutionary earth experience. And whether we're Christian or Muslim or atheist or Jew or black or white, we're all part of it. I'm here to be part of that conscious Gaian experience, to bring more love and hope and excitement and creativity and fun and laughter, to make the whole earth a more beautiful experience.
Just tell me about the cycles, the seasons, the phases of the moon. How can knowing about this wisdom, this ancient wisdom, help people flow better in their lives?
On the physical level, we have the seasons, and it helps people feel connected with what's happening. In the olden times, they didn't know that their crops may or may not grow, and so they had to feel connected with it and honour and give thanks for when actually the crops did grow and that they got their harvest. So there's a natural energy, but there's also a mythological energy, which I love. A lot of spirituality is about metaphor and so on. And for instance, spring is the time of new growth and new ideas and excitement. Summer is the time of fulfillment and happiness and joy. Autumn is the time of dying back and reflecting and coming into ourselves. And then winter's time of hibernation, perhaps, and we all need to do it. Life's a continual rhythm and process, and go back into oneself and rest, ready for the spring again.
How does it make you feel when you're in nature?
A peace, I think, is the first thing I would describe. In a forest, particularly, I have a particular thing about that.
I felt a belonging. I felt at one with the birds, the leaves, the trees, the earth. Is this your experience?
Yes, I mean, it's a sense of connectedness, a deep belonging. And I think that's one of the key things. We always have to operate with people in the world. And, that's wonderful many times, but also it has its anxieties or its edges or its boundaries and its challenges. And going into nature, my soul just goes, oh.
How important is the sense of awe when you're in nature, or the play of light on a leaf?
What that does is open the heart. In fact, it's interesting that cathedrals used to do this. That's one of the reasons they build big cathedrals and mosques, because you go into that, and apparently people, as I still do, go, wow. And nature is my cathedral. I go into a forest or see a beautiful sunset, and I go, wow. And actually the heart opens. But gratitude also, and in fact all spiritual traditions, as far as I understand it, have quite an emphasis on gratitude. Because when I'm grateful for beauty of nature and the people I know and love and all these things, you build up that tank or that levels of compassion.
A part of green spirituality is looking at science and the whole universe as well, and how we fit into that universe. Just tell me a bit about that.
I absolutely love the universe story. That's the story from the Big Bang to the present day. There's people like Brian Swim, Thomas Berry, or who we just heard at this conference, Jude Caravan, who talk about this evolutionary process. But I find it exciting. It's awesome. I think it's not just an intellectual exercise. My heart opens. I think, wow, these great big stars that exploded and these planets that formed and all the different molecules and so on. There's a real sense of excitement and feeling about it. But also it's the experiential side is just as important. It's not just to get caught in those mind things. Joanna Macy does some wonderful workshops of connecting in a heart-centered way with our connection with the earth. The poets like John O'Donoghue, and I read some of the things and I go, wow, it's like he touches that deep spot. Music's an interesting thing. It apparently touches every part of our brain, and they say maybe we as humans we started interrelating as groups with music first, and its sound is something about music does something deep in my soul that other art forms can't. They're different, but it's such an important part of being human, actually, and connecting. It's all spiritual traditions have music and songs because we feel together when we do that. It's part of our connecting our vibrational energy, maybe.
Yeah, it's another heart opening, isn't it, to access the beauty, that the oneness around us, the magic.
I've noticed this. It's when I do 5 rhythms dancing. I love 5 rhythm dancing. I've got a lot of energy that needs to be dispersed. So I go into my 5 rhythm dance and so on, and then my mind relaxes and you get into that natural nature kind of flow. Some people it's sitting meditation, for me it's movement meditation, other people different forms, but to get into that connected space is a beautiful, important thing.
Yeah, and it's important to explore different sides of spirituality and find out the tools that work for you.
Oh, absolutely. So they're all in their different ways pointing me towards this mystical union, loving, conscious universe.
And how important is ceremony and ritual?
Very, very important. Rituals grounded in a community, because as individuals I can have a story, but part of spirituality is connection. And the rituals, when they're done well, they're connecting us all with those stories. So it starts off with the awe, then it's stories, then it's ritual, and then it's practical outworking. That might be about doing something like climate change, or homeless people, or people suffering with mental health.
Tell me a little bit about Matthew Fox, because he's been a real inspiration to you.
That was one of my big moments in my life. I was brought up an evangelical Christian, and that tradition is very boundaried. I was in the wrong soil. I was emotionally planted with the wrong type of group. Because when I went on a kind of what I call a spiritual safari through a little bit of Catholicism, a little bit of Quakerism, a little bit of Buddhism, it was all quite good and interesting, but didn't quite click. And then I came across Matthew Fox and Green Spirituality, and woof, at last I felt heard, because Matthew Fox described the Christian tradition as originally blessed. So the Christian tradition I came from was saying, I'm a sinner. And I even said at church, I'm a miserable offender, I'm not so worthy to get tearful about it, eat the crumbs on the table. That's awful. I'm a good well, I hope I'm a good person. Matthew Fox articulated that so beautifully in his book Original Blessing, saying we are made good, we're made blessed. And then he talked about the shadow, which is important, and creativity and practical outworking. So there was a lot in it. But he touched a radical form of re-understanding Christianity.
And of course, Matthew Fox has studied Hildegard of Bingen. She was seeing the divine in everything from leaf to tree to people, way before in the 13th century.
The divine is in all. And then if we all collect together and learn from each other and see the divine in each other and in the plants and flowers and trees, we have the possibility of a beautiful community of nature and humans.
And some of the great traditions of Hinduism and Buddhism, they see the divine light, the Buddha nature in people.
Oh, absolutely. Karen Armstrong's just written a book, I think it's called Sacred Nature, which points that out so beautifully well, that understanding is in many of these great traditions. And the whole divine feminine, I keep saying it, is so important. We have a constructed kind of patriarchy in our system, and we need to balance. It's not that the male energy is wrong, it's just balance.
We have a real heart connection, because not only green spirituality resonates with us, but we are interfaith ministers too. And with the world really full of suffering and grief at the moment, part of our role is to sit alongside people to support them.
Absolutely. And I mean, particularly, for instance, with the funerals I do, there's a beauty and a grief with it. But as people so often say, you don't get to the high joyous things without sometimes the depths of these things. And it's understanding part of the journey through life is grief and sadness and sorrow. But that then carves out the valleys where the high mountains are. So being with people when they are lost a loved one and taking them through a funeral is a deeply poignant and honouring place to be. And it is important. People will remember the funerals for years afterwards, and that will either hopefully help their healing journey, not be the only thing, obviously, but it's important for that healing process. And if I can just add in, it links so beautifully with green spirituality. Green spirituality and all this grief and interfaith work works so well together.
And we're all part of this beautiful iridescent rainbow, aren't we, really?
Oh, absolutely. I love the rainbow, all the different colours. And they all come from one white source. Something I'm so keen on is our differences are part of the solution, not part of the problem. And the fact that people have different ways and different paths is a beautiful thing. And it's like different diamonds or different colours, or a beautiful scene in nature where you have the sun and the sky and the sea and the land and so on. And they all come together to make something beautiful. And that's where difference is so not just nice, it's deeply important that we are different and honour each other's journey. Yeah.
And if people wanted to find out more about Green Spirit, where would they go?
That's easy. I mean, there's our website, greenspirit.org.uk. We welcome people of all faiths and none. And I hope we help people to ground their spirituality, and people are very welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Ian. It's always a delight to spend time with you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity and all that you are doing. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And if you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share with your community.